Let's continue making our Pong game. So far we have our player who appears on the stage. Now let's get the ball. Let's make our ball. Later on we can change what he looks like. But for now we'll just use the oval tool. You can hold the shift key to make a perfectly round circle. Then use your selection tool. Select your ball. Group him together if you drew in non-object drawing mode. And then convert him to a symbol. F8 if you're on a PC. Name him ball with a capital B. Export for ActionScript so that we can call him in our code, and then press OK. You can delete him from the stage now. He's in our library. We'll go over to our Pong class, and now we'll add an instance variable of our ball. So we'll say private var ball with a lowercase b will be our variable name, and he'll be of type ball. We'll instantiate him in our constructor. We'll say ball is assigned the value of a new ball object. Calls our constructor. We'll set our ball's x and y values. So we'll set him for the middle of the stage. So we'll say stage.stageWidth divided by 2, which will put him in the middle. And the ball's y value, we'll say stage.stageHeight divided by 2. We'll insert him into the middle of our stage. Don't forget we have to add him to our stage. Save your file and then test that the ball does appear in the middle of our stage. Now let's add an event listener. This event listener will listen for key presses from our keyboard. Remember that add event listener should turn blue if you typed it correctly. And then it takes as its argument which event we're listening for, which will be the key down event. And we'll call this method whenever a keyboard button is pressed. So now we need to write this function. We said, hey, when this keyboard button is pressed, it'll call this function, so we do need to write him. So we'll write him at the bottom of our constructor, but before the end of our class. Remember, that's where you want to put the rest of your functions, is in this area here. Out of any other function, but before the end of the class and before the end of your package. So here's where we're going to write our function. We'll write it as a public function. So public function. We put the name of our function followed by parentheses. Inside of the parentheses go our parameters. So every kind of keyboard event needs to have a parameter of type keyboard event. And our function can return one thing or nothing, and we will return nothing, so we write the word void. Alright, let's write some logic that we want to happen every time someone presses something on the keyboard. The first thing we want to do is we want to check which event from the keyboard was pressed. So we'll check the key code, which is a attribute of our event object, and we'll see if that key code equals the keyboard.up, meaning if it hits or if the user is touching the top arrow key. Okay. And we'll say if our player object y value, which is our up and down value, is greater than 0, meaning that he's not off the top of the screen, Then we'll allow the player.y value to subtract 5. Remember that the 0 for our y is at the top, and our y increases as it goes down. So if we decrease our y value, we are going up. Alright, let's have another else if here. So else, if the event on our key code, we can even copy and paste this code, is the down arrow, and the player Y hasn't gone off the bottom of our screen, then we'll add 5 pixels to our screen. We may have to change this number depending on how tall our player object is. Alright, that's the end of that function, so we'll write end function as some comments here. We'll save our code. Remember to always hit save. And we have a error. And this error stems from the fact that we forgot to include our library so that it knows what the keyboard class is. We know this is a class name because it starts with a capital letter, so we forgot to import that class. So we'll say import from that flash file the UI package and the keyboard class. We'll save it. We'll run them again. And there he is. If I hit the up arrow, my player moves up a little bit too far. And if I hit the down arrow, he does not move down. So let's check our logic. And here it is right here. We forgot to say is less than 450. So we'll save him. Test him again. Hit the down arrow. He does indeed move down a little bit too far. And if I hit the up arrow, our player does indeed move up a little bit too far. So your task before going on to the next video is to fix this number and this number so that your player does not go off the screen.